right, ladies and gentlemen, we are in week 11 right now. We only have content in week 12, 13. Week 14 is writing. We are getting to the end of APGov. Isn't that exciting?
No, I heard the other one's hard.
The other one is hard. So, what, Lucy?
Will there be AP content on
No, there is none. Okay, no one. I say look at your scope and sequence, but that would be stupid because no one looks at the scope and sequence because I mention it all the time. So let's just look at the scope and sequence super quick, and then we'll pick up on the content of which is today. Luke. Luke, do you think that's what the business that I do is just chaos and just walk away and just light things on fire? Is that really what you think I do? Do you think there's probably a plan? Do you think there's probably something that Samantha Bennett is going to be doing to ensure that I am in the top of the county? Because I am always at the top of the county because I'm good at what I do? Yes, Luke? So, why don't you let me explain what I'm doing here? And if you, oh, by the way, looked at your scope and sequence, Luke, you would know it's not chaos, Luke. For those of you who don't look at their scope and sequence, aka Luke, you will notice none of this is chaos. It is organized. We're in week 11. Week 12, I'm doing domestic and economic policy. 13 is foreign and defense policy, and then it's writing week. Then we're in AP Comparative Unit 1. We are doing 2 weeks of AP Comparative. And then we're going to review for midterms, which I stop for a whole week and we fill out a review packet together to make sure you're ready for your midterm. Does that sound nice, Luke? I literally stay here and you copy it down and give you 150 points for copying me. Does that sound worth your time, Luke? Cool. That's what we'll be doing for a week. Okay? You work for me, I work for you. This is how I show my respect. You guys showing up every single week doing what I ask because I stop everything for your midterms to make sure you are successful. Keep in mind, my scoring has no effect on midterms. You could all bomb it and literally fail it, and I still have a bomb score according to the county because all my score comes from AP scores. And your girl's right at 100%. Not right now, but yeah. Andreas.
Review for midterms as in midterms just on APGov?
Yeah, it's just on APGov. We're only 2 weeks in, people. Like, it'll be fine. Guys, the reason why we're hurrying through APGov is because we need that time in the backside to review. We're going to have 4 weeks to review on the backside. If we didn't hurry up through APGov, we'd only have 2 weeks. Does that sound like enough time? Hell no. So we're going to haul it through so we have plenty of time for review. We will take a week to go back through and make sure everyone is tied off and ready to go for the midterm. But we need to move because we have a bigger goal than midterms for Hillsborough County. We have the goal of the AP exam, and I will get an 80% or higher. What? Pierce, what do you got? Yeah, actually we do. Hello, you do, because you have a final exam on AP Comp for Hillsborough County.
What?
I told you this in week 1, and you weren't listening.
I'm going to be graduated. I'm going to have to come in.
You'll take it during senior week, but yeah, if you have to take it. I have to figure out how that works because I don't know, because I don't deal with seniors usually, and honestly, you people are awful. Yes, Ben?
That don't.
That's hello, what did I literally just say,
I
Ben?
said I was going to.
Got it. Got it. Well, because you still had your hand. Anyway, complicated, Ben. We'll deal with that when we get there, but typically, yes. All right. Please listen. So, for AP Comp, I am purchasing for my classes with my AP funds, because you know your girl got 100% pass rate. Anyway, I'm buying 5 Steps to a 5 AP comparative study books for us. We are using that like the textbook. All of your assignments will be coming through that. Is everyone clear on that? If you wanted to purchase one so you could handwrite in it and scratch it and highlight and do that stuff, I'm going to post a link. If you wanted to purchase it for yourself, that's available. I'm telling you right now, I don't have kids buy things unless I'm using every single page. Guess what we'll be using every single page of? 5 steps to a 5 or whatever the title is. So I'm going to post that link today if you want to purchase it. I bought a bunch of them this morning on Amazon. They're $18. We'll be using that as like your textbook. All of your assignments will be coming from it. I'll be assigning chapters from that book. You'll be tested on the weekly chart. I'll pull that through for you. Yes.
Well, our focus has become
Yes. Yes. Your focuses that take you literally 15 minutes of copying from a textbook will get a little more challenging, Lucas. Hopefully you can handle it. What is it, 12 minutes? Okay. Oh my God, 18 minutes? Whew. You're so brave, Lucas. You are so brave. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, AP Comp is coming. APGov is over. I'm doing you a solid. We're going to stop content. I will help you review a lit to make sure you're ready for your county midterms so we can all get our A's and move on with our lives and existences. Yeah, I think that's nice. Okay? Here we go. Are we feeling pretty good about APGov though, big picture?
Yeah.
not that one thing.
What one thing?
No, it's fine. You just keep.
What's that one thing? Oh, the test at the end of the year?
No, the whole. What's that?
The what?
Yeah, during the hurricane. Some judiciary thing.
Oh, you didn't like that one?
I don't know it.
That's okay. We have time. I will teach you everything you need, Anna.
Alright.
Do you have faith in that?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I don't want to hear shit from you. I got you in 2 periods. Hell no. You better watch that tone. Okay, here we go. So yesterday we started talking about radio. You cannot understand the importance of radio without knowing 2 things. The fact that it's about unfiltered ability of politicians to talk directly to the people. You have to know FDR's fireside chats is what makes radio a political animal that it is today. Third thing you need to know that today it is completely polarizing. If you listen to talk radio and you listen to NPR, you're definitely a liberal. If you listen to Limbaugh, you are definitely a Republican. It's an echo chamber today. That's what you need to know about radio. It is a modern day echo chamber. Okay, television. What is that, Olivia? I saw that look. Okay, so echo chamber means you only hear things you want to hear. Okay, this is my mom. My mom lives in an echo chamber, and this is embarrassing to tell you, but Facebook is her source of information. Yeah, that's what I've got going on at home. How about you? All of our information comes from Facebook, and whatever is on Facebook is the God honest truth.
So an echo chambers, you only hear what you want to hear?
Yes, you search out avenues that only tell you things you want to hear. So, Andreas, you might be shocked by this, but there's some people in the world who absolutely hate Joe Biden. Like, hate him. Like, it's the worst thing America's ever done. And there are places where you can go where you can hear how terrible Joe Biden is, and it gets them all riled up. And they're like, yeah, Joe Biden sucks. There are other places in the internet that think Joe Biden is God's gift to the world, and with his smile has opened the world of heaven and happiness. So you could go to places on the internet, specifically now in 2022, where they talk about how wonderful Joe Biden is and how his smile opens doors. I guess, I don't know. It's kind of creepy. I don't know where to go from there. That's an echo chamber. You pick what you want to hear. Hi, television! Now, television is going to be the most popular, accessible, mass media platform in the world. Okay, this is where most people are getting their news today, whether it's local or national. It's a big deal because we have network news. Okay, network news is going to be the original presenter of televised news, and then we have cable news. So network news is like ABC News Tonight, CBS, Nightline. I don't really know them. They're not particularly popular. They get a couple million viewers. But right now, where does most news coverage come from? Cable news. Keep in mind, cable news is where you have CNN and Fox News, and that's where the real big numbers are coming from today in 2022. C-SPAN technically is part of it. CBNC and MSNBC are also in there. But when you think of CNN and Fox News, which are the two highest, which one's higher? Fox. Fox is a couple million higher. Not like crazy higher, but like a couple million higher. So, cable network news is available to everyone. Cable news historically is an additional price. Okay. Now, network news is going to be based on time, where they have news shows dedicated only to it from like 6 to 8, and then it goes back to sitcoms, while cable news is 24 hours. So if I pulled up the live feed for Fox News, it's going to have running the news for the day. What do you got?
Not like Fire TV and like live CNN.
No, not anymore. This is like the wonderful component. Yeah, this is kind of old school stuff. The textbooks are a little bit behind. The tests are a little bit behind. Like AP World History, modern. It's called AP World History Modern. Only goes to 2001. So how modern is that? So the AP exams are always a little bit behind. Today, when you get your first apartment in college, you are probably just going to plug your TV into the internet and use Hulu Live or whatever to stream it. People are getting away from cable. Okay? All right. Most Americans are getting their news from local TV as of 2010. Have things changed since 2010? Yes. Okay? So, but AP needs you to know that most people are getting their news from the local news, which means, what would be a channel here in Tampa Bay? Oh, you are very excited. Yes, Fox 13, okay? With Paul Delgado as the weather guy. Love him. I had both of his daughters. They're really fun, sweet. Okay? What else is another local channel? What do you got, Nick? News Channel 8, hell yeah, okay? And then you have Bright House, that chick who kind of seems like a robot. Have you ever seen the Bright House news broadcast? Have you seen it? Oh, okay. She is so perfect that she looks like a robot. I don't know, check it out. Anyway, okay, so local news, then you have national news is your number 2. Okay, now, today in 2022, it is probably closer to national news is where most people get it, and the internet. Keep in mind, this is from 2010. So this is a little bit different. Okay, things have changed a little bit since. Now, trends. This is your next heading, is trends. You do need to know that there are very few people who actually own mass media corporations. Very few people actually own mass media corporations. Oh, Parker, I wanted you to pass those quizzes when you pass the others. Don't worry about it. Just put it on my desk. Next one. All right. So, there's pros and cons to it. So, there's pros and cons. I would put a little plus and then a negative underneath it. The positive is that it's a more streamlined experience because it's consistent. So, Viacom owns literally, I think 1/3 of all mass media platforms in the country. That includes a bunch of channels on TV, a bunch of magazines, a bunch of newspapers, all of those things. So they're all controlled by one person, the CEO, who I can't think of his name at the moment. The CEO makes a decision, and then all of the platforms have to echo it. So there is consistency, and that's nice. Can we agree? We like a nice aesthetic, right? You're trying to make sure all your Instagram photos all kind of look the same so they fit nicely in their little grid, yeah? It's a nice aesthetic. Same thing that's happening here. The big con, though, ladies and gentlemen, is very few diverse voices are heard. Very few diverse voices are heard. That's the big difference. If the same 30 dudes, and it's dudes, making most decisions and all decisions of mass media components, okay, is that a good thing or a bad thing for small voices? It's a bad thing, okay? Now, the reason why this has occurred is because they're looking for profits. Keep that in mind. Profits. The more companies you own, the more money you can. Yeah, the more money you can make. The more companies you have, the more money you can make. So it's all based on profits. However, the biggest thing is they do control the flow of information. And that's the biggest, scariest thing about having very few people owning so much. Remember, freedom of the press is which one of our amendments? So, is it kind of a big deal or is the big deal? It's the big deal. And we have very few people who actually are controlling it in our nation, and that's can be very concerning. All right, let's talk. Skip's heading is going to be White House Press Secretary. Did you like filling out your little grid with all the seats? I thought that was actually really interesting. Now the problem is that the Trump administration really changed all that. Okay? They changed all of that. They kicked out people out of the press corps that have been there for a long time. And Biden administration has actually been pretty slow on putting them back in because there's mostly a civil lawsuit going on about it. Okay. Here we go. The press secretary. You need to know this. Because remember, we are APGov, so we got to go back to how the media affects politics. The press secretary represents the president and delivers daily briefings to the press. I have a cough drop. I'm coughing. Okay, the press secretary does daily press briefings. What is a press briefing? It is.
Stop. Represents the president.
In daily briefings to the press.
You're so fast.
Can I go now?
Yeah.
Okay. They are short, concise bursts of information. That's what a press briefing is. Short, concise bits of information about the president's day. They're supposed to be short, yes.
Do they actually print coffee and cookies? Or
No, this is like a question and you had to guess what it is. See?
Oh, okay.
No, that is so condescending.
Yeah, I
now.
wasn't completely sure.
Yeah, no. It's supposed to be a little question, a little quiz, but I don't have time to do it today. Okay. Did that get you all excited? Like, hell yeah, the president got someone to bring cookies all day? Hell yeah. Okay, a press release is a document. A press release is a document stating clear, simple facts about an event. Okay. Then you have a press conference. A press conference is where you really have question and answers about specific topics. A press conference is when you have questions and answers about specific topics between the White House and the press corps.
Between what?
The White House and the press corps. Okay, so when we talk about a press release, it's a document. Like when the Queen died, you know how Buckingham Palace posted up a little sign that said the Queen died on this date in her sleep or whatever, yeah? Simple, straightforward, that's it, cut and dry, okay? A press briefing, I almost said Obama. Biden's press secretary holds multiple throughout the day. I think they do a morning one and an afternoon one. And the morning one, it's the first black female ever to hold the position. She, at the morning, tells the press corps what the president will be doing in addition to a press release of the president's schedule and what kind of phone calls that he or Biden has for the day. And literally just gives information at a press briefing. Every once in a while they do take some questions, but the whole process of it is for the White House to give information, not to be asked. It's at a press conference where the president is asked directly about topics from the press corps. Luke.
Are there like multiple press secretaries?
No, there's one, but they have a bunch of support team.
Like they have to be
Oh yeah, there's like a line of like there in the press office of the White House. I think there's like 30 positions. People doing social media, all that stuff, tracking all this information, writing all the briefs and all that stuff. It's a whole wing of it because the more effective which we've seen in the last couple of presidents, the more effective the communication is coming out of the White House, the more effective the presidency is. Correct? Okay. What do you got, Lucas?
So at a press conference, is it the president or the press secretary?
It can be both. It can be both because both of them represent the White House, aka the president. The press secretary is there to answer questions, and the president's actually doing presidential things. The press secretary represents the president when the president's not there. And when the president is there, they can't take questions directly from the media.
So the president can choose one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if they only see the press secretary, it's not a good look. Okay, the reason why the Prime Minister of England got kicked out is because she refused to go in front of the press to answer any questions because her economic plan failed in England. So she hasn't been seen in public and hasn't done a public press conference in like 3 weeks. So they all called for her to be removed, and she did get removed, and she got replaced by the first Indian Prime Minister ever in the history of England. So he has like the worst job in the world at the moment. But yes, Pierce. By the way, you need all this information. If you only learn one slide, this is the slide you should have. Pierce.
Why do people care about the agenda?
Because if Biden has a call with Putin on the schedule at 1, what's Biden talking to Putin about? Right? Like, that's interesting. It also kind of shows what the president cares about. If he spends a lot of time talking about health insurance, it shows that he cares about health insurance. If he's talking to advocates for this, and that, it kind of shows what he cares about and how he or she is spending their time. Now, there's some people who really, really care, Pierce, and other people are kind of like, okay, but let me answer this question. Okay, or how does the president feel about this? Those types of things. All right, major focuses of the media. Ladies and gentlemen, you need this slide. Okay, the media decide which issues are important enough to bring to the public attention. Because we have such a small amount of people who actually control the media, they have unwielding power to make things small that we care about, or big things that we should care about very small. And that's the power these people have. Okay? There is a lot of modern day or like present day movies and films made about this topic in the early 2000s when this has really wielded a lot of power. The influencing which issues the public sees as important. Okay? Have you ever seen, I hope when you watch the news, whether it's CNN or Fox News, you kind of flip between the two. Do you?
No.
You should. You should. Because no matter what channel you prefer, CNN or Fox News, it gives you a little levity on both sides. Okay? If you watch CNN and you see them, oh my God, Trump, and they're like, ah! And then you flip to Fox News and you see them reporting on what CNN was reporting. And Trump did, and this today happened in New York State. And it's pretty minimal. Then the next story on Fox News is going to be, oh my God, Biden did this. And then you go back to CNN and they're like, Biden today did this. You can kind of see the levity of the two lenses of how they report stories. Some of them are inflated. Some of them are deflated depending on the bias of the viewership that they have. Olivia.
So say Fox, like say Trump did something really bad, could Fox report it in a bad manner, or do they?
They usually don't. They usually kind of state it and say, ah, it's not a big deal.
What if like murder? Could they do it?
I mean, I hope if anyone takes the life of someone else, it's always considered a bad thing. But like, you know, right? But Fox News has minimized some things they've done and maximized a lot of things Biden's done. CNN, on the same regard, has minimized something Biden's have said and has maximized other things that Trump has said. So it's not just one-sided, it is double-sided as well. But yeah, they purposely minimize something or ignore, okay? Or change the narrative of simple stories, okay? And that's what's happening on both sides. Okay, The First Amendment makes it possible for unions and corporations to spend money on candidates running for office. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we call like dark money. Is corporations are seen as people. There's a bunch of court cases, Supreme Court cases, that say corporations have rights. Rights of freedom of speech, right to protection, all of those different types of things. So corporations are spending lots and lots of money on candidates, Lilith. Why would corporations be spending lots of money, Lilith? Or get what they want in law because it makes them lots and lots of. There you go. So this is a huge problem for politics. Politicians love and hate this because they get lots and lots of. But then they're also kind of pushed into certain things that they may not love so much. Consumer-driven media. When you see the words consumer-driven media, we are looking at media companies that benefit from having lots of viewership and decline because they don't have enough viewership. So what would be a perfect example of consumer-driven media, Scout? Who would be a perfect example of that? What companies, when they get lots of people watching their broadcast, make a lot of money? It's the normal answers you would think. Fox News, CNN, absolutely. The reason why Fox News and CNN want the highest viewership is it because they really believe in their cause, or do they want to make lots of money? Yeah, they make lots of money because they make it off the television ads. So, your consumer-driven media, because CNN wants more eyes on them, okay? They just fired their CEO about 3 months ago and hired a new guy. The new guy has come into CNN and has cleaned house. He fired a bunch of people who have been working for CNN for a long time, a lot of people who were on air for a long time. He cut them. They're gone. And he has shimmied around a lot of their more popular people to try to garner. If you look, they changed a lot of the sets of CNN to make it look cooler, a little edgier and all that stuff, because they're a consumer-driven media company. If more people are watching, they're making more. If less people are watching, they're making less. And they're competitive with Fox News. Now, demand for instantaneous reporting has led to the growth of 24-hour news corporations. This is why CNN and Fox News are like the number 1 and 2 places to go look for national news, because they keep us coming back and looking for more. Okay. So, Supreme Court case, New York Times versus the U.S. I taught you this on Thursday, so I'm going to go very quickly. Not Thursday, on Friday. Your Supreme Court case, New York Times versus the United States, which is all about prior restraint. Prior restraint is when the government can stop a publication for the protection of the United States. Did Reagan get prior protection from the Supreme Court? Not Reagan, I'm sorry, Nixon. Did Nixon get it? No. This is all about the Pentagon Papers. So, for New York Times versus United States, you should know it's about the Pentagon Papers. Vietnam War, prior restraint. Nixon loses, the New York Times prints the Pentagon Papers. Taught you this on Friday. What do you got?
What did you say, prior restraints?
Prior restraint is when the government can stop a publication for national security issues. Okay? This case reinforces what right, ladies and gentlemen? Steffi. Freedom of the press. All right, iron triangle. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's one specific concept you learned this week, this is it. Here we go. The iron triangle is made up with executive department, congressional committee, and interest group. These 3 components, McCormick, you need this, my darling. This is a big deal. This will be on your AP exam, I guarantee it. It is made up with the executive department or branch, congressional committee, and interest groups. These 3 things make all decisions about new legislation. And they work for each other and provide for each other. Okay. And 4, Obama wins the presidency. He ran on the, is it what year? 2008? 2008. There you go. See? Old. This is what happens when you're old. In 2008, Obama wins for the first time and runs on this idea of healthcare, national healthcare. He gets into office. Now, Obama went to college at Harvard, got his law degree in constitutional law. Do you think he knows how to write a healthcare bill?
Yes.
No, absolutely not. So, he does not have the talent, the wherewithal, or the ability to do it. So, he pays interest groups. Write this down. Interest groups provide the specialty skills necessary to create legislation. So how the iron triangle works is the interest groups provide the specialty skills necessary to create a law. Then Congress does what? Passes the law. Okay? And the executive branch is the one who came up with the idea for the original law that was passed by Congress. You see how it's a vortex? Okay? The executive branch comes up with the idea. The interest groups actually work out the details of the bill because they have that specialty knowledge, and then Congress approves it. Put a star. All 3 benefit. Either by prestige. Prestige is going to be your executive branch. 2, power, which would be your Congress, is all about power. The fact that they got that through the House is all of a power play. And 3 is monetary wealth. Lalit, you are enraging me. I don't care, then put it down, dude. So, the 3 major players, interest groups, Congress, and the executive branch, they all work together and they're all getting something out of it. The prestige of having an idea and getting it through. The power to put a bill through Congress. And then 3, getting paid, which is what the interest groups are going to get. Okay? Now, Obama pays an interest groups, and we're talking about the major healthcare leaders in the nation. They're getting paid heavily to make this new law. And inside the law, do you think they're making nice little caveats for themselves to make money? Yes, absolutely. So they're making money from the system and to make the system. So, are interest groups happy to help? Is Congress happy to help? Absolutely, because they get a lot more power from it. And of course, the executive branch. Now that's just one example. Every single law, write this down. Every single law that gets passed goes through the... Yup. Every single law goes through the iron triangle. Executive branch, Congress, and interest groups. Okay? So, they work together. You need to...
What if you don't need it?
It is incredibly rare that Congress members have the intellect of knowing the specificalities of each aspect to make it work. Right? If you wanted to make national parks, you wanted to make Tampa, Florida have a national park, do you know how to make that work? You need that specific knowledge of how all that law comes into place, and that comes from the expertise of people who are in that field. Okay? So, it is all about how these 3 groups work together to set government policy. Perfect. Okay. Interest groups is your next heading. How much time do I have? Perfect. Interest groups are your next heading, ladies and gentlemen. You have a test on Thursday. 25 questions, all multiple choice. You need to know the first interest groups are popping up in the 1830s. That's when it first starts. First interest groups are in the 1830s. Okay? However, see ya.